What's up, everybody? My name is Phil with XenonSupply.com, and this is coming to you live from Los Angeles. Just kidding, it's obviously a recording. Today we're doing an HID installation on this 2011 Hyundai Sonata. I know you've seen it before, but we're going to do it again, a couple updates, so pay attention. Alright, the first thing we need to do with any installation is remove those old halogen bulbs. On the passenger side here, you can see the low beam cap. Let's twist the lock, turn it counterclockwise to remove, pop it out. Now inside you're going to see a H7 connector that has to come off of the bulb first before you can remove it. So, pointer finger and thumb, remove the connector. Now there is a metal clip that's holding it in place. You need to push down on that clip and pull away to release, just like that. And now you can remove that old H7 bulb. Let's take a look at what we're going to use to install this HID system. What we have is a premium XenonSupply HID kit specifically designed for the Hyundai Sonata. We have the premium slim HID ballasts with 3M mounting pads for easy installation, 8 zip ties included with the kit to tidy up your wiring, as well as a wiring harness that protects your junction box with an included fuse. Now the key piece to this one is the H7 modified bulbs that work specifically with the Hyundai Sonata's projector system for maximum brightness. This is a one and only system from XenonSupply.com and can be purchased below in the link that you see in the description. In order to get the wiring through on your HID system, you do have to drill a hole into your dust cover to allow access. Let's take a look at an example here of one we've already done. As you can see, the grommet here is placed in between with the wires coming through for access for the bulb. For this process we'll be using a 1-inch unibit. You can use a 1-inch hole saw, but the unibit does allow for a little bit tighter fitment. Now the hole initially has to be 0.9 inches for the grommet to be tight. The largest connector that's going through is actually a little bit larger at 1.1, which means that we're going to be drilling a 0.9-inch hole and then creating a small notch on the side to allow this larger connector to get access. Let's go ahead and do that. Alright, so that's 0.87, that should be pretty tight. And we're going to go ahead and create that notch right on the side. Just a little bit more. And we take a look at that notch. It needs to be a little bit more. Okay. Let's just feed our wires through here. Oop. Now to get this one through, we do have to take this plastic piece off. Once it's through, put the piece back on. And now you can pull through the grommet. There we go. Nice, snug, tight fit. We're now going to install the HID bulb into the housing. Now here's a few quick tips before we get started, specifically for the boys. Before you insert, you want to extend the wires so you have more mobility. And then once you're done inserting, you can pull them back in to shorten the wires on this side. Let's go ahead and do that. Now just make sure this brown strip here, or if it's white on your bulbs, is facing down in the 6 o'clock position when you insert. That's very important for the light so it does not cast a shadow in the light output. Make sure it's nice and snug. Now this power connector is not going to be used on the passenger side, but it will be used on the driver's side. On the driver's side, you'll be connecting these two leads to the positive and negative wire. On the passenger side, it's not necessary because we're using a wiring harness. So just tuck that one in, you won't be using it. Take your wires here and pull in the extension. And close the cap up. And remember, turn clockwise now to lock it in place. The driver's side HID bulb installation is nearly an identical process. We do still have to insert the bulb with the 6 o'clock tab going down. You still lock the bulb in place with the clip. The only difference is you will be using these H7 spade connectors to connect to the power wire here. For now, we're just going to plug them in randomly. The ballasts are not polarity sensitive, so you won't be damaging the kit. The only problem is the Sonata uses 2 yellow wires for the power and the ground, so you don't really know which is which until we do some testing later on. Now that we have the wires all set, we can pull the wires in, tuck everything in, and lock the cap back in place. Now, this connector here is going to be connecting to our wiring harness, and these wires here will be connecting to the ballast power wires. For this installation, we will be using the included wiring harness. Now this is very important as it does protect the vehicle's electrical system from any complication with the HID system. This wiring harness has a couple wires. We have a signal cable that connects to the driver's side, as well as a power wire that goes directly to your battery, along with a 25 amp fuse that breaks if anything happens. Now for your driver's side, you have your ballast power wire along with the ground wire that connects to the chassis. And the longer cable here is for the passenger side, ballast power wire and ground wire that connects to the chassis. Let's go ahead and install this one. To feed the wiring harness through, we're actually going to take the power wire, we're going to go underneath the airbox over to this 10mm bolt right here on the battery terminal. So we're going to feed this one down and underneath, and then once we have it down, we're going to bring it around like this, and then bring the terminal up and under. There's a small hole right here, and then we're going to bend very slightly this connector so that it sits at a 90-degree angle. This is a 10mm socket wrench. Just go ahead and place this one down and tighten it back up. All right, now you can close that up, no one can see it. For the rest of the system, you are going to be taking the signal cable for the driver's side, as well as the ballast power for the driver's side and ground wire, feeding it underneath the airbox over to the driver's side. Just like that. Now, this signal cable is going to connect to this wire here, which is a signal wire coming from the headlight housing. The ground wire is going to connect to the negative terminal on the battery. This ballast power wire is going to connect to the ballast once we get the ballast positioned and tested to make sure that they work right. This is also a 10mm socket wrench. All right, and just make sure that's tight and you have good connection. Now that we have all the wires positioned, we can go ahead and get the ballast positioned and tested to finish up the install. On the passenger side, we have the ballast power wire and the ground wire. Now this ground wire is going to be meeting up with this set of ground cables against the chassis here. We're going to be using a 10mm socket and socket wrench to remove the bolt. And once we have this out, we can add the ground wire for the HID system and connect everything back into the same spot. There you go. Now with all the wires set, we can get our ballast, test the system, see if it works. For the installation of the ballast, the first thing we need to do is test to make sure that it's working properly with the correct polarity before you go and pin it down with the mounting pad. Don't do this until you know everything's working properly to avoid some extra trouble if you do have problems. Now this power cable that came from the harness connects to the power cable on the ballast. And then you have the power wires going from the ballast to the HID bulb that's already installed in your headlight housing. These can only go in one way, male or female. And now that you have power connected, you're going to do the same thing to the passenger side and then turn the lights on to test. Same thing with the driver's side. Same thing with the passenger side. We're just going to place the ballast, connect the power wire here from the harness, and then connect our HID bulb power wires. Now on the passenger side, the only difference is this extra cable will not be used. Eventually what we will be doing is rolling it up, zip tying it in place. This is the empty side that the harness takes care of, so you don't need this connection. Now that we have everything connected, let's at least test the system to make sure everything works, and then pin the ballast down against the chassis. Now that we've tested the system and we know it works, we can go ahead and pin down the ballast with a 3M double-sided mounting tape. Now as you can see, the premium slims fit really well right in this spot here. So I'm going to go ahead and take one side off the pad here, apply it to the back, and push it down so it's firmly in place. Now we've already gone ahead and cleaned off this surface here with some cleaner and just a damp cloth. Let it dry out. So take the other side off. Make sure you really want to put it in this spot, then press down. Now all we have to do is clean up the wiring, do the same thing to the driver's side. On the driver's side, we're going to be pinning the ballast down against the wheel well here using the 3M tape. Like I said before, we've already gone ahead and cleaned the surface. So, just need to take the ballast apply our tape on one side. And very carefully place the ballast against the frame. Make sure you push it down to make sure you get good contact. And now the last step is just to tidy up your wiring, and you should be done.